Today, I want to talk about something that becomes the obstacle in any aspect of our life. I have patients around the world for the last 13 years. Some of them do brilliantly. Some of them don't. Some of them have issues of attitude. Some of them have issues of ego. Some of them are destined to go through that suffering and die when they're supposed to die. We see all aspects, not just when it comes to health, relationships too. You see, your mind becomes your most powerful drug that you own right now. Everyone out there, if we have life in us and our mind is working, it is a superpower. If we are able to work with our mind mindfully, where does the word mindfully come from? The mind. Bring mindfulness to the mind. There is so much of power in the human mind right now. Most people out there who are not achieving their goal. I said most people, because some of them are going through adversity, some of them are going through injustice, some of them the odds are really against them. But for most people, they're stuck because of attitude. They're stuck because of ego. That's what I want to talk about today. All of us have an ego. I find my ego creeping in and getting the better of me many, many times in life. And then I have to remind myself, hey, I don't feel good about this. This behavior is not making people around me feel good. I need to reconnect with my higher self. What is my higher self above the ego? You see, ego is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But having an inflated ego and making decisions out of an inflated ego is a problem. For example, superiority. I'm better than you. Just because you have more money, you think you're better than someone else. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're humble, down to earth, your ego is in control. People who use position for power, they wait to become a CEO, they wait to become a manager so they can take it out on their employees. That is the wrong ego. All of us have an ego. It's part of us. It's good to have an ego. We have the right amount of self-esteem, self-confidence come, but the moment the ego becomes inflated, that becomes a problem. That means you think you're better than other people. You think you may be better at things, but doesn't mean you're better at other people. Okay? If there's person A and B, and person A has better skills than person B, person A has better skills than person B. Person A is not better than person B. It's as simple as that. So our egos can protect us and our egos can destroy us. Absolutely destroy us. We've seen this through civilizations, the Roman civilization, through civilizations in India, civilizations in South America, in Egypt, where ego and pride has caused an entire empire to completely be brought down to nothing. And that's what's happening in most of our lives. Today, when I see certain patients, they have ego and pride. Not even the best medicine will work. Forget about the best nutrition. Forget about exercise. Forget about sleep. Nothing will work. And today, we're going to teach you now how to identify. Don't feel bad about this. I identify with egoistic behavior many times, but we're supposed to be mindful about it. So the moment we start to be behaving out of our ego, how do I connect to the higher self? Because when I'm working and living out of the higher self, everything gets better. Your relationships, your health, even if you have a deadly disease, your work, your business, your spiritual path. I can't tell you how many people are on a spiritual path, but it never works for them because that ego and pride still gets the better of them. So how do we identify? You want to keep your paper and pen handy. How do we identify whether we're acting out of the ego? I'm also going to tell you how to handle people when they have an egoistic behavior with you. But number one, how do we identify we're living out of the ego or making decisions out of the ego? Number one, we're constantly living in victim mentality, victim mode. You know, what is an example of victim mode? Oh, how could this happen to me? It's all over. I can't do this. One breakup, now you think love is bad. The relationship was bad, not love. You lost one job. All jobs are bad. No, you lost one job. There could be 10 other better jobs. Oh, I got struck by a disease. Of course, no one wants to be struck by a disease. But staying in victim mode is going to be your biggest disability. Your biggest disability. You need to come to acceptance in order for the body to start healing. You can't be in resistance. Victim mode is resistance. How could this happen to me? Yes, I wish it didn't happen to you, but it's happened. Now what? Move on. Is your resistance going to change it? Is your resistance going to change what has happened to you? Is it going to take away what happened to you? If yes, continue resisting. But we all know the bitter, ugly truth. It's working against us. Why does life do this to me? Life is unfair. This is unfair. No, life isn't unfair. There was a part of your life which was unfair to you. If you choose to stay stuck in victim mode, a problem. Oh, no one likes me, no one loves me, no one does all. That's victim mode. You built such a barrier that even the people who love you, you can't feel their love anymore because you've blocked it. You've blocked it. This is the ego. A lot of this is the ego living in victim mode. 2, the scarcity mindset, that you never have enough. You never. Maybe you want more. I want more. Everyone in life wants more. But the point is, don't have a mindset of scarcity. Misers, people who have, but they're always counting. They don't want to share. They count 100 rupees, 10 rupees. Oh no, I need to give tax to the government. You're not alone. Everyone has to pay tax. It's a different issue that everyone isn't paying tax. But the point is, what makes you have this scarcity mindset? It blocks you from abundance. Even when you have, you still think out of scarcity. You think out of fear. Now, this is not your fault. You could have a mindset that was built into you when you were a kid by your parents, by your surrounding areas and all of that stuff. But in fact, the more that you want in life, if you want abundance, you need to have a mindset of abundance. A mindset of abundance doesn't mean you have it already. It means you believe you can have it and you start acting like you already have it. But operating from the scarcity, like you'll see some people, they're a life and death situation and they're bargaining for $1,000. They're bargaining for $2,000. It's not like these people can't afford it. You see people all the time with a scarcity mindset. And I'm talking, this could be even the richest people. Sometimes dealing with the richest people is the biggest issue because they have abundance, but they have a mindset of scarcity. Always trying to think. You'll see this in a lot of Bollywood. You'll see this in a lot of Tollywood. You'll see this in a lot of sports and athletes. They want everything free. They can afford it. The right people who need things free should get things free, whether it's services, whether it's products. But you see, I'll give you this example. When I say Bollywood athletes, I'm not talking about all of it, but a large portion of it. They have attitudes of scarcity. They have abundance, but they're constantly acting like they have nothing. They want everything free. They expect everything free. You see, that's the ego. That is a mindset of scarcity. Okay, that is a mindset of scarcity. That is the ego. That's how it is. So that's another way. Then you constantly see mistakes. You see your past, all the mistakes you've made, all the mistakes that other people make. You're constantly looking for mistakes in your life, in other people's lives, everyone around you. Nothing is good enough. That's the ego again. And the 4th is complaining about everything. You're constantly, there's nothing wrong with complaining. Let's say the road outside your house has potholes. Of course you'll make a complaint. But every time you see it, you want to go on complaining and tell 10 of your friends, oh, I have these potholes in my road outside my house. You go on complaining. That's the ego again. So identify where you fit in. And that's how you identify that, hey, this is the ego working for me. How does it make you feel when you're operating from these aspects? Not good at all. Not good at all. Maybe you feel a little superior because everyone has to listen to your complaining, or you have this power and ego to use the scarcity mindset, or you feel you're more superior by seeing mistakes of other people all the time. You're living in victim mode, playing pity parties all the time, waiting for sympathy and empathy from everyone. That may make you feel a little bit good. And that's why it's not a good practice to practice living out of the ego, because you can get used to it very, very quickly. Now, how do I move from the ego to the higher self? Because like I said, I'm not here to judge everyone. All of us will at some point act out from the ego or behave out of the ego. But how do we reconnect to the higher self? Now, the higher self takes accountability and responsibility to create a different story and a different reality. Fine, you got struck by a disease. Take accountability, responsibility. What can I do? How are you going to create your reality and a different story that is different from the victim mindset? Lost your job, didn't do well in your business, something didn't come to you. The sense of entitlement lies in the area of the ego. A sense of responsibility and accountability and saying, how can I change the situation, comes from the higher self. The second point, having a mindset of abundance. Okay, unless you're really, really living on the road and you need people to hand out meals to you, okay, that's a different situation. But if you have a home, you have 3 meals in a day, you have clothes on your back, you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 friends, okay, you already are abundant. It's different that you want to be a billionaire, you want your company to be a unicorn. Have those ambitions, but don't forget that you're already abundant. Don't have the scarcity mindset, the cheapness mindset, where it comes out on your employees, it comes out in greed, in your decisions. So part of the higher self is having an attitude of abundance, a mindset of abundance. The next Instead of finding mistakes, you start to see lessons. All the mistakes that you've made, you can choose shame, you can choose blame, you can choose the ego, you can choose negativity, you can choose guilt, or you can say that, hey, I'm a human being. What lessons can I take out of the mistakes I've made in my past? Now, if you continue making those mistakes without taking lessons, that's your fault. The results of your life are because you're making the same mistakes over and over again. But most of the most valuable lessons that all of us learn in life come from mistakes that we see. Mistakes of ourselves and other people. Look around you, how many people are making mistakes? The wise people will take lessons from this and add it to their life. Be grateful that's not happened to you, but you dare to see someone else's mistake and take a lesson out of it, make a lesson out of it, and incorporate it into your life. So when you're connected with your higher self, you look at your mistakes and you will take lessons from there. Every single mistake holds a lesson with it. The higher self will look for those lessons and take them. The ego will be stuck in the mistake, stuck in the past. You should not forget your past. Everyone says, oh, forget about your past, that was bad. No, don't forget about it. Take lessons from it. Once you've taken lessons from it, you've disempowered it. You've taken power away from your past. Now that past is not going to trouble you anymore. The next thing is you find gratitude and little joy in small little moments in life. You don't wait that when I'm a billionaire, I'm going to feel grateful. When I buy a fancy car or a handbag or a watch, I'm going to be grateful. No, be grateful then. But right now, start to find little moments in your life. Little things, the smallest things that bring you the most joy when you can be grateful for them. Start training your mind and heart to look for these little moments. Start remembering little moments, compliments, things that people said, something that you did, the feeling when you volunteered, the feeling when someone said, hey, I feel so amazing because you're my friend or you love me. Take these little things and feel it deeply in your heart. It warms your heart. This is your higher self. In your ego, you're constantly complaining so much that you're not even aware of the blessings that you have in your life anymore. And this is the difference between the ego and the higher self. We're always going to be operating between the two. That's why we use mindfulness. The moment we're feeling horrible about something or ourselves, look, am I operating from the ego? Now let me reconnect to the higher self. Now, how do you handle someone who has an ego? The first lesson and the only lesson is you never engage with someone else's ego. Okay, now let's say there's you who has an ego and I who has, and me. You're engaging with me with attitude, with ego. If I engage with you right now, we're going to have a battle of egos. So the point is, again, that pause. I'm not going to engage with you when you're behaving out of the ego. I'm going to wait for you to calm down, or I'm not going to engage with you until you calm down. Because now we can have a rational discussion. We can have great communication. But no matter how evolved you are, if you engage your mind and ego with the other person's ego, it's only going to become an ego battle. But if I can engage myself from the higher self and now engage with you who has an ego, it's going to be very different. The outcome is going to be very different. This is easy to say but difficult to do, but not impossible. How do we get better at it? Practice, practice, practice. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, breathe deep, and remember, you care is all about you.